Hi guys, it's me Paco, and you're watching Paco's Books. Hey guys, today we are going to be going over my October wrap-up. It is already October. It's over. She's done. She been had hers. Hersis. So it is time for us to go over the October TBR. I'm going to put a clip in of me going over all my stats, which will be after I film this portion. So, future Paco. This is future Paco. And I'm just going to get statistics for you. So, I read about 10 books in October. I read about 2,082 pages. I listened to 26 hours and 47 minutes. 10 books were read. 6 of them were YA fantasy. 1 was adult fantasy. 1 was an erotica anthology. 1 was a comic bind-up. And 1 was a story in verse. So that is the statistics. A lot of good star ratings, but I will see y'all later. Thanks, Teacher Paco. Now let's get into the actual books. So the first book I read, now also in October I did do my readathon, the spectacular readathon, which was just a bingo board. Here's the bingo board, and I think I've knocked out like 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that, lines. So I did pretty well. And the first book I read in October was Monster Smut Anthology. It was called My Monster Boyfriend. It's a Monster Smut Anthology, so here's the cover. It's basically just a bunch of like erotic monster smut stories in this cute little anthology, and they were all good. They ranged from like queer stories, straight stories, different body types, different ethnicities. I really liked how diverse it was. I think the gargoyle story might have been one of my favorites. I also really liked the Crusader story, but they were all pretty good. Like even the Harpy story was pretty good. So they were all pretty good. There was no stories that I disliked, and they were all fun. So yeah, that was the Monster Smut Anthology that I read. I gave it about, let's go for 4 stars. I don't know if I rated it though, because I really don't rate anthologies because it's like, or like anthologies. So there's that. So the next book I read was for a secret project that I did, the 5-star like trade-off video that I did with Nell. Nell's Diamond is the YouTuber that created that project, and I read, I think it's called Along Came Down, and this, here it is, I forget what the title is, but it's right here, and it was an anthology. It was a what is the word, written in verse story about a guy who his brother is killed because of gun violence, and he thinks that because of the way the streets are, he has to follow the street rules and take out his brother's killer, and then he is visited by spirits. And it's a really good anthology. Mine is still an anthology. Really good book written in verse. I highly recommend the audiobook because the author does narrate it, and I just love that. So I enjoyed it. It was like a 4 stars for me. Really powerful too. So the next book, when you finally use the books I have, the next book I read fit for the witch prompt. I forgot to say Monster Anthology, fit for Monster Anthology, an anthology with monster stories. So this one fit for the witch prompt, and that is Wicked Little Things by Justin Arnold. This book is about our main character named Dane Craven, who is a witch who has like pyrokinetic powers, and his cousin dies at the start of the book, is killed by a serial killer, and Dane blames himself because of what happens in the beginning of the book. And then when he goes to the town, his home, like his mom's hometown, for the funeral, he is introduced to the are they called the Reds or the Wednesdays? But like these 3 girls who are also witches, and he has to join their coven to find the serial killer, basically. And it was all right. This book read really quick because it was only 230, like less than 300 pages, and I feel like for the page length, the author tried to put too much in it, because not only did you have to find the mystery murder, Dane discovering his powers, Dane fitting in with the mean girl witches, Dane having a love interest, and like family stuff. So I felt like it was too much for such it didn't get the page time it needed for all the stuff that was pretty interesting, but it just didn't get the page time, and it felt rushed. So I'm going to give this book a 3 stars on the like middle 3, low 3. I still enjoyed it. I'll check out other stuff written by this author, but that's all that I got to say about that. So the next book I read was a reread, and I read it with Princess and Helen, so I'll link Princess's channel down below, and Nell's channel, and that was Six of Crows by Miss Leigh Bardugo. This book, if you don't know what Six of Crows is about, it's about 6 members of the Crows gang in Ketterdam are hired to perform a heist, and the heist. I enjoyed this. This was, of course, reread, 5 stars. I love Inej. I love all of the characters. I listened to the audiobook, which is pretty interesting because the first time I read it, I physically read it, and I do like when I do a reread switching the format, and so I highly enjoyed this. I mean, you know, it was great to just re-see these characters since I haven't read this since like 2018. I just really enjoyed this. Next book I got to was The Scarlet Veil by Shelley Mahurin, and I did get this book signed because I went to her signing. And this book is it takes place after the Serpent and Dove trilogy, and this book follows Celie as she tracks a mysterious murders where the victims are left of blood. This fit the vampire prompt on my thing, so I read this for vampire, and I really enjoyed it. I love the gothic vampires we got. I knew the minute Shelley Mahurin said she was putting vampires in this world, I was like, ooh, I can't wait for her interpretation of vampires. I really loved it. I cannot wait for the sequel because the way this ended. I love seeing Lou and Coco come back, and Reed and the whole gang come back because they were in parts of this book, and I love them so much that I am going to be rereading the Serpent and Dove trilogy soon. Maybe not next year, but very soon, because it's giving me enough time. I'm giving that series a little time before I reread it. But I love this. This was like 5 stars. So good. Next is A Study in Drowning by Miss Ava Reed. This book was my book club, not my book club, but a book club pick I had to read for my in-club person book club I go to. And this book follows Effie, who she is the only woman in her architecture class. Even though she wants to be a literature studies major, they don't let her because women are not allowed to. And she is assigned to work on this house of her favorite author. And while she's there, she meets a fellow classmate who's a member of the literary academy that she wants to join, who is there to see if the author actually wrote his work. And I really enjoyed this. I like what this had to say about women in academia. Miss Ava Reed knows how to write a damn book. I love her atmosphere. This is the second book I've read by Miss Ava Reed. Excited to read Juniper and Thorn when I eventually get to it. But I highly enjoyed this, and I did get to meet her, and I got the book signed. So, yay. So, I really enjoyed this, and I will want to reread this again. So, I gave this like 3.5 stars because the audiobook, I kept getting distracted when I was reading it. So, I want to give this another try. So, the next book I have is Foxglove by Adeline Grace. This is the Fairy Loot edition. Had to show it off for the people. And this book follows the sequel of Belladonna, which it's a gothic romance series, and it has Blythemore as a character and also introduces Fate. I really enjoyed this. I will say I think I enjoyed Belladonna a little bit more, so this is not a 5 star, this is like a 4.5. I still enjoyed this immensely. I didn't hate it like some people did, but I am excited to see where the series wraps up in book 3. And I just really enjoyed it. I don't want to get too much into it because it is a sequel, but I liked where characters went, and like there were parts I really enjoyed. So the next book is another sequel, and it is a repeat author this month. Oh, Foxglove, I forgot to say, and fit Death or Grim Reaper personified in the prompt, and A Study in Drowning fit Dark Academia. Even though Princess says it's not Dark Academia, it's technically that, and it counts for my thing. This book also could have counted for Dark Academia too, and that was Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This book also fit the demon prompt. So this book follows is a sequel to Ninth House, follows a Galaxy Alex Stern as she continues her journey in Yale, and she tries to fix something that happened in the last book. Don't want to get too much spoilering into it because I think it's an awesome transition from Ninth House. I reread Ninth House last year and very happy I did because I love Ninth House and I love this. Will say I think I enjoyed Ninth House a little bit more, so this is again a 4.5 when Ninth House is a 5. But I really appreciate Alex as the main character. She's really I love her tenacity she has and the strength she has, and I Enjoyed this. I liked Lee Bardugo's depiction of hell in this, and the magic in the world just kind of amped up, and I'm very excited for the third book. I think this is a trilogy, so I'm very excited for the third book to see where things go. Just hoping it's not another 4 years before the next book. So, second to last book I read was Sing You to Sleep by Debbie Burton. This book fit the Siren and the Fae prompts for my spectacular readathon, and this is the Fairy Loot edition. I actually physically read the regular edition, but I'm showing off the Fairy Loot edition. Same for Box Love. I don't read my special editions anymore. Never again. And I enjoyed this. I will say I did go into this expecting a different vibe than I got, but it was still good. This book follows Sarisi Sarkov, who is a siren who has the ability to sing people to their doom, basically. She also has, like, power over water magic. And she is hiding the fact that she's a siren, because basically sirens are outlawed. The Fae are the dominating species here. And she is trying to survive. She is trying to take care of her little sister. And one day after she passes her initiation test, like her finishes school, she is given a message saying, I know what your sister is, and they'll reveal her sister's secret. So she has to end up basically working for the prince to get information, and the prince is then assigned to task murders, and she finds out the murders are her doing, because she also kills in her spare time. I enjoyed this. Thorisi is a really interesting character. She made a lot of choices that irritated me, but I like that about her. I thought the writing was really interesting. The murder mystery had me guessing, so I enjoyed that much. And I did like the siren parts we got. I just wish there was more of, and so I'm very excited for the sequel. So I'm going to give this book a 3.5, closer to the 4 stars. So last book I read was Midnight Suns. This is by, who's the official author team? Ethan Sachs is the writer. Luigi Zaria and Alberto Forci were the artists. Anito Fabio was the cover artist. VC Joe Sabito was the letterer. David Nakayama was the cover artist. Tom Grumman was the editor. Nick Lowe was the supervising editor. And a special thanks to Bill Roseman, Peter Ross, and Isabel Hisu. So a lot of work does go into creating a comic. And this is the bind-up of Midnight Suns issue 1 through 5. This follows after a Zoe Laveau gets a vision of doom that everyone could see that Zoe seems to be responsible for the apocalypse. This team is formed to try to stop it, and I enjoyed it to an extent. I gave this book a 3 stars. I enjoyed it to the extent I enjoyed the stuff with Magic, I enjoyed the stuff with Nico, I enjoyed the stuff with Castro, the Spirit Rider, one of my favorite new Marvel characters. And it was fun. The Magic stuff was really interesting. I just deeply hated what happened with Agatha Harkness. So, if you don't know what Agatha Harkness is, she is Wanda Scarlet Witch's mentor. She was in the WandaVision show, which is played by a much younger actress, because Agatha Harkness in the comics has always been an old lady, an old crone witch. And they use this story to make Agatha Harkness hot and younger. Like, she went from... see if I can find a good shot of her in this. She went from, like, this old lady to, spoilers for the end, but it's not really spoilers, just because it's common knowledge in other series, to this. So I kind of hate it. I hate the MCU-fication when the MCU starts affecting the comics. I hate it, and I hate it. But I enjoyed everything else. That just kind of made me lose a star for it. I like the stuff about the covens and the magic and just, like, this magic team. But, like, I also didn't like that Wolverine was shorn in, because it's like, do we really need Wolverine and everything? This could have been another character that was much more, like, magic focused, and you could have brought Dr. Voodoo in instead of Wolverine, or I don't know, because, like, you have Blade there, so you don't really need Wolverine for that type of, like, hack and slash character. You have Magic and Blade, so you really don't need another slasher for a magic team. But I still really enjoyed Midnight Suns. This fit the adaptation because there's a game that came out recently. Even though the stories are completely different, the team's the same. And that's why I chose this. And it's my readathon, so what are you going to do, fight me? So that was my wrap-up. My favorite book, I think, is Scarlet Veil, followed by Hellbent shortly right after. And then Fox Love are, like, my top 3 books. What did you guys read in October? What was your favorite read of the month? Are you excited for November? Can you believe that it's already November? We got 2 more months left. And then the year is over. Like, can you believe that? I can't. What do you see? But yeah, so let me know. Comment down below. Hit the like button. Hit the bell. Do all that. And I post new videos every Friday or Saturday, because this video will be up Saturday. Sorry. And yeah, so I will see y'all later.